Thank you everyone for logging in. Today this is using Morningstar Investment Research Center. So today we're gonna take a look at one of the databases that the library subscribes to. It's Morningstar. I understand there's some maybe new features that have been added. So with us today is Fani Koutsovides from Morningstar. And yeah, she's gonna talk a little bit about all the different things you can do with this database. And I guess you guys will be able to, normally we kind of have it muted, but if you want to ask questions through the chat, so feel free to go ahead and do that. So, okay, so yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you, Vadim. Thank you everyone for joining the database overview for Morningstar Investment Research Center. As Vadim mentioned, my name is Fani Koutsovides, and I'm with the sales director for the Investment Research Center. I'm not here to give any type of investment advice, but I am here to show you the different information and tools that you can access through the database so that you can conduct your own research and learn on your own about investing. So I'd like to think of the database as 50% in-depth research and 50% educational content. The database is a live database, so we're publishing new content throughout the day. A user is able to come to the database to get market commentary and see how the market is performing for the day as well. So we do have real-time quotes available. We did recently launch a new version of the database. So there are some new features that we've added, but it's pretty simple. When a user comes to the database, let's say they want to pull up an investment, whether it's a fund or a stock or an exchange traded fund, an ETF. And if they know the name of the investment they'd like to research, they can come to the database and go to the search box in the top right-hand corner. Here, a user can input the name or the ticker symbol of an investment, and they'll be taken to the research page for that particular investment. The search is not a keyword search, so it does not allow for keyword search. It's strictly for inputting investments by name or by ticker symbol. So if we wanted to look at Apple, actually we'll look at a different one. I always look at Apple. United Airlines. We could type in United Airlines, select the investment from the list that comes up, and we'll be taken to the research page for United. In the top right-hand corner, there's a PDF option, company report. This is going to provide a PDF report of the data and information that one can find within the research page when scrolling through on the database. So if you wanted a takeaway, either to save on your home computer or to print, you can click on company report. And if we open this, it's the data and information one can find within the report, just in a PDF version. So it's a nice takeaway. It has performance data going back. It has the in-depth analyst research, etc. So in the top over here, there's an option here on the top left. These lines are jump tabs. So if we click on it, it's going to open up a window and it's going to allow a user to jump to a particular section of the research page. For demonstration purposes, we're going to scroll through. So in the top left here, if we click on show full chart, it's going to be the performance and price chart for how the company is trading for the day. So currently it's showing us 1 day and minute by minute, the frequency. You can customize this chart by time frame and frequency if you'd like. But if we scroll over this chart here, you'll see that it's showing us the minute by minute price for United Airlines for today. If you wanted to export this data and information, you could click on this square with the arrow pointing to the top right and export this data into an Excel file. If you wanted to put in a competitor or a benchmark for United, you can type in, let's say, American Airlines Group. And now American Airlines has also been added to our list. If you want to customize this to look at the year-to-date information, we can customize it to year-to-date. It's currently showing it to us on a daily basis. You could customize it and change it to a weekly or monthly basis. So if we leave it on daily, Again, you could export this data and information. And now that we've added the competitor, it would also export the data for American Airlines. As you scroll through the Morningstar analysis section, this is going to call out some of Morningstar's proprietary data points, the fair value estimate, the economic moat. In this case, it's none. Economic moat is a company's competitive advantage against its peers for the long term. The in-depth analysis is available over here. If we click on Read Full Analysis, it will expand this data and information. And I do want to point out, next to Morningstar Analysis, there is this eye with a circle around it. This is an information button. So anytime you're on one of our research pages, whether it's for a stock, a fund, or an exchange traded fund, an ETF, if you see this info button, you could click on it, and it will provide a definition, sometimes of a rating, of the analysis. So in this case, we click on Morningstar Analysis. It provides the definition of the how we derive the Morningstar rating for stocks, right? So what's our methodology behind this? How do we calculate the Morningstar star rating that you see? This was a 3-star company. You could click on this play button. Sometimes there's a video that goes along with it that will show us how the rating is derived. On the left-hand side, again, there's other data points that we have that are proprietary to Morningstar. For instance, the fair value estimate. If you want to learn more about our fair value estimate, we have information available here, as well as a short video on how we derive this rating. And the same is true for the economic moat, the capital allocation, 5-star price, and 1-star price. So as we scroll through, our analysts, when they're reviewing a company, there might be an analyst note at the top. So if there were recent updates or changes at the company, there might be an analyst note at the top. And then our analysts are also reviewing a company's business strategy and outlook, an in-depth look at a company's economic moat, fair value and profit drivers, risk and uncertainty, and capital allocation. If we were to close the full analysis, there's also an option to view a report archive, so we can see what we've previously published about the company. Up here next to Morningstar Analysis, we're looking at the summary. If we were to click on competitors, it's going to provide a quick side-by-side view of United Airlines against some of its competitors, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines. If we scroll to the right, we can see another competitor as well, which is Spirit Airlines. From here on the left, if we were to click on Show Full Comparison Chart, it would take us back to that performance price chart that we saw at the very beginning. But it has all the competitors that were listed side by side available here within this chart. And then you could export this if that was something of interest. It'll export it to an Excel file. So again, a lot of data and information available for companies. Below, like the price versus fair value chart. Sustainability, this is something that's coming soon. We have sustainability ratings that looks at for mutual funds, and we're going to also make them available for companies. I believe that this is something that we are launching next month, sometime in May. So Morningstar has been very dedicated to sustainability and offering research on sustainability for investments for the last 5 or 6 years. We had partnered with a company called Sustainalytics to create the sustainability rating for mutual funds. And we acquired Sustainalytics about 9 or 10 months ago. So sustainability is looking at a company's environmental, social governance. So taking a look at how they rank against those areas. So when they're looking at a mutual fund, they're looking at the mutual fund's portfolio to see how the portfolio holdings are when it comes to environmental social governance. And again, there's an information button here that you could click on to learn more about sustainability. Trailing returns, a user can see the trailing returns for United against its sector and against its index. You can view the returns on a daily, monthly, or quarterly basis. If we scroll down further, you're able to view the financial information. So you can view like the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow. If we were to click on Details View, it will expand the window for the income sheet. Oh, why is it not coming up. Sorry about that. Let me click on balance sheet to see what's happening here. If I click on details view. Okay. I will have to look into this. I apologize. Normally it expands the data and information and a user is able to export it to Excel. So I'm not sure why that financial sheets are not being pulled in. The valuation of the company, a company's operating performance. And anytime you see like more valuation data or more operating performance, you could click on this and it will expand the data and information. Dividends and splits, when there might have been dividends and splits for the stock. Ownership, a user is able to access to see who the major shareholders are for the company, concentrated shareholders, and shareholders buying and selling. And below we have access to see who the key executives are for the company. So if we wanted to click on a key executive's name, so Scott Kirby, you're able to see the salary information for the executive. And then you can also click on different options here on the left. Sorry, if we scroll to the left again. If we were to click on profile, this is where we'll see the biography for the particular executive, see if they have board membership, percentage of ownership, and then any recent transaction history that they've had with the company stock. At the very bottom of the report, you can see a brief business description, contact details for the company's investor relations department, as well as number of employees in the sector and industry for the company. So there's a wealth of data and information that one can access for a company if they're interested in researching a particular company. If a user were to come and they just wanted to learn more about equities, they can come and click on the equity tab directly. And we wanted to really showcase that the database is a live database. So now on the overview page for equities, we have the latest analyst reports get fed into here. So if you wanted to see the latest stock analyst reports, we have a feed in here that provides access to some of those. The market fair value chart to see how the market's performing for the day, if it's overvalued or undervalued, or if it's at a fair value. Additional market commentary that we're publishing throughout the day. Companies that are performing are gainers. Companies that are not performing as well today. So you can really get a lot of market commentary and information. Additionally, if you click on the Markets tab under Equity, it's going to provide more market commentary, a quick look at the market, the various areas of the market, based on our style box. So if you want to get a quick view of how the market's performing for the day, you can click on Markets to look at the market barometer. Also provides return data and information for indexes. So for US, Asian, European, and Canadian indexes. Research under equity, this is something new that we added. We really wanted to showcase some of our equity research. So again, some of that entails including some of the more recent analyst reports that we've published for stocks. Any recent notes and updates for companies are available under research. We wanted to showcase our weekly research highlights. So this is a weekly publication in PDF that we offer on the far right, which is taking a look at companies that we cover and providing any recent developments and updates. So this is a really nice takeaway to just to have an idea of market highlights and updates within equities. A user is also able to access our quarterly market outlook report. If you want to see what our investment experts are saying about the upcoming market, you can take a look at the market outlook. So for instance, this was published at the end of March, and it's a market outlook for April through June. Our researchers are looking at the various sectors. So there's overviews, there's the overview, the market outlook report, top picks by sector, the economic outlook, and they're providing the reports for each of the various sectors as well. If a user just wanted to access the sector reports on their own, those are available at the bottom of the page. And if you click on it, it's in PDF format. The latest analyst reports. This is a link that that will take you to the recent stock analyst reports. So if you want to see the companies that have the most recent analysis, or see a list of companies that have analyst coverage, you can click on latest analyst reports, and this is for companies under equity. If you were to click on the company name, it will take you to the research page for that particular company, which is what we looked at for United Airlines earlier. If we click back, or if you click on the PDF report, it'll print out that you could download that company report that we looked at when we were on United. Portfolios. This is something new as well. It provides some of our analyst pick lists within certain areas. So large cap US core pick list. We have a couple Canadian pick lists, conviction long, wide moat focus index, mid cap pick list. So just some of our analyst picks for these various different kinds of portfolios and focus. You can download as well the pick lists if you'd like. Rating and performance. This is a way for a user to screen for companies based on some of Morningstar's proprietary ratings. So it just provides a few filtering options: the Morningstar rating, the moat rating, and the uncertainty rating. So if you wanted to look at a company that had a 5-star rating and let's say a wide economic moat, so a large competitive advantage, and that we were pretty certain the performance, medium or low uncertainty, then it would provide the list of companies that pass this particular screen we created here with some of our proprietary ratings. If you wanted to screen more in depth, you can click on the screener. And this was a tool that previously, if someone clicked on the equity tab, it was a static page that had the screener and a couple of quick links. Now the screener is in the secondary header bar. We did update the design and layout of the screener, and they did try to streamline the tool as well. So we do have a lot of performance metrics that one can choose from when creating a screen, but some of them might not be as customizable as they previously were. So if you did use our screeners previously and you have questions about the new ones or any feedback, please feel free to share it with us at libraryservices@morningstar.com. That is the email that's at the bottom of all of our pages within the database, and we always welcome feedback. So a user can use this tool to screen for a particular kind of company based on the criteria that they input into the their filtering options. So we clicked on show more before. Now you could show less if you want to close that, but the show more opened up additional filtering options for us. So again, a lot of them are performance-based and a lot of them are with Morningstar's proprietary ratings and information. So over here, if you'll see that we can't select an industry currently. In order to select an industry, a user first needs to select a sector. So if we wanted to look at healthcare, and then we can click on industry and select an option for industry. So drug manufacturers general. And if we wanted to leave it for domestic companies, we can put in United States. And we can scroll down. Like I mentioned, there's a number of performance metrics that one can choose to filter with. We're going to keep our screen simple today and just use some of Morningstar's proprietary ratings. So Morningstar rating of 5 stars with a wide economic moat. Oh, and actually I should change the rating to 4 stars or more. And we could scroll to the bottom and see the companies that passed our screen based on the data that we input. From here, if you click on the IDR, that's the investment detail report. This is a one-page snapshot report that provides performance data going back 10 years. So it's not as lengthy as the company report that we looked at earlier. And then if you click on analyst report, that's going to be the larger, lengthier report that we pulled up when we looked at United Airlines before. I will mention that sometimes companies will come into the screener and you're able to click on the investment detail report, the one-page report, but you can't click on the lengthier report. If there's not an option for the lengthier report, it's because we don't have analyst coverage for that particular company. So we wouldn't have the analyst report available for it. A user is also able to get different views of this screen. So they can look at the overview, which will provide like the industry, the exchange, the sector, the growth, performance information, additional market performance information, profitability, and valuation. So you can change the view of your screen. So again, a lot of data and information that's available for companies. If you knew a few companies that you wanted to research, we can go ahead and click reset filters. So we clear this particular screen, and you could just go right into the search box here that's within the stock screener, and you could type in a few different company names or ticker symbols. I want to look at like UAL and American. I should know these tickers. I'm just going to put in Apple and like, let's say Tesla. Because I don't remember the ticker for Tesla. We'll just put another one. Then it'll give you a list of those companies that you put in the screener at the top. Oh, thank you. So yeah, if we typed in the ticker for Tesla, minus the E, then Tesla's at the bottom too. So you can filter for just like a few companies that way as well, if you just wanted to get some quick metrics for those companies side by side. You can view that. So similar to stocks, we have a wealth of data and information available for funds. Again, if we click on the funds tab, if you know the fund that you want to research immediately, you could go to the search box, put in the name or ticker symbol for a fund, and go to that research page. If you just want to get more data and research on mutual funds, you could click on the funds tab. Here again, you're presented with information on some of the most recent fund analyst reports, additional analyst insights from our fund analysts, a quick view of how the market's performing. You have access to see the Morningstar meta lists. These are mutual funds that we currently were showing by category. And you could click on this refresh button, it will change the category. So if you want to look at Morningstar meta lists, large blend, mid cap value, so you could keep clicking on this refresh button, it will change the list. So the Morningstar meta lists, for mutual funds, Morningstar has 2 ratings. We have the Morningstar rating, which is a star rating that looks at past performance. And then we have the Morningstar analyst rating or meta list rating, which is a forward-looking projection based on some key pillars that our analysts review. The analyst ratings are gold, silver, bronze, neutral, or negative. And then I'll show you too within the fund screener, if you only wanted to pull up a list of like, let's say like gold rated mutual funds, there's a way to do that within the fund screener. So I will show you that when we get to the screener option. At the bottom of this overview page for funds, we have a fund category return option. So you can click here to expand the window to see the fund category returns. And then if over here in the secondary header bar, we were on the overview page, if we want to look at mutual funds, this is going to bring up a list of mutual funds that have in-depth analyst coverage. So if you want to see which mutual funds have in-depth analyst coverage, click on mutual funds under the funds tab. It will provide that list. You're able to sort this list by any of the column headers in the top. Currently, the default is it lists it by the most recent. Over here, you can click on a particular mutual fund, and it will take you to the in-depth research page for that particular fund. So if we want to look at T. Rowe Price Mid-Cap Growth, we clicked on that mutual fund, and it's now taking us to the research page. It normally doesn't take this long to load. I guess it has a case of the Mondays today. So similar to stocks in the top, we do have some PDF reports that are available. Here, the one-page report is a one-page mutual fund snapshot with performance going back 10 years. So it's a quick takeaway for someone who might be interested in the mutual fund. The global fund report is a more in-depth report that's going to provide all the in-depth analyst research, as well as a lot of the data and information that one can find when scrolling through this research report within the database. So it's a more robust report that's going to provide like more information on the portfolio holdings, the full analysis, and a lot more data and information. As I mentioned, we are committed to providing investors with research on sustainability so they could make more sustainable choices while they're investing. So for mutual funds, we have this fund sustainability report and a carbon report. These are newer reports that we've added. So you can download these reports and get the information for the sustainability rating and see how the portfolio holdings rate within the environmental social governance. And then for carbon report, carbon metrics for the fund's portfolio as well. And again, like while we're in this report, if there's an information button next to something, you could click on it to learn more about that particular section or get a different definition of a term. So here we have the star rating that's looking at past performance. We have the gold analyst rating that's looking at the process, people, and parent of the company when making this when providing the analyst rating. If we were to click on read full analysis, it will expand the window so we can view the overall summary for the mutual fund. And then it really dives into these key pillars. Originally, when we launched these ratings several years ago, there were 5 pillars that we were looking at. With the newer, when they reevaluated the rating, they are still providing research on all five of those areas, but the rating is now focused on these 3 at the top, the process, people, and parent. So you could click on a particular section and go to that area of the report to view that research. So we still provide research on performance and price, but these are no longer factoring into the rating. Below, the performance chart is going to provide performance for the fund against its category and index, with performance going back 10 years. A user can view the trailing total returns, day end, month end, quarter end, risk information. Again, if you see the information button, you could click on it to learn more about Morningstar risk ratings and risk and volatility measures. The price, this is where you can see what the fees are for owning the fund. portfolio is going to provide an overview of the mutual funds portfolio by asset allocation, stock style, exposure, and more. Again, the sustainability rating is under the performance section. You can click on the information button to learn more about sustainability and our carbon metrics. Portfolio holdings is going to provide an overview of the holdings. You can click on show more holdings to see all of the holdings within the fund. And then you could click on these page numbers at the bottom to jump to the next page of holdings. People is going to provide information on the management team and the fund managers. If you click on a fund manager's name, you'll get the bio for that fund manager, how many years they've been investing in this strategy, industry experience, additional funds that they manage. The strategy of the overall fund. Parent company. At the very bottom of the report, you can get information and data on the parent company. So in this case, we were looking at a T. Rowe Price fund. You're able to view information on the T. Rowe Price family of funds. So performance data and information, additional funds that we cover, mutual funds that are rated, gold, silver, bronze. You're able to view that information here and learn more about the fund family. So again, a wealth of information that's available for mutual funds as well. Target date series, this is something new that we've added to the database. Target date mutual funds have a designated timeline for when you're looking to retire. So let's say you're going to retire in 2045, you might invest in a mutual fund that's a target date fund for 2045. These fund families have target date funds, and that we now provide research reports for the particular target date series by fund company. $529 college savings. This is a new tab that we've added. Previously, a user was able to get perhaps see an article or video that we might have published under articles and videos. Now with this dedicated tab to 529 college savings, we have a list of the different 529 college savings plans and a PDF report available for each of the plans that includes the rating and some of our analyst insight for the particular plan. So if you're looking to save for your child's college education, whether it's a child, a grandchild, a godchild, you can definitely research the 529 college savings plans within the database. We also have a annual 529 college savings landscape report that we publish, which is available here as well. This is just looking at any trends within 529 college savings plans, any government changes that might have happened. So it's a very in-depth and robust report that our researchers put out on an annual basis. And then we also have the methodology behind the ratings for 529 college savings plans available here if you want to learn more about what our analysts are looking at when they're pulling these ratings together. Again, our dedication to sustainability, we have a sub-tab dedicated to it, which is going to provide an overview of some of the, we have an article track, Sustainability Matters, that you can also access under articles and videos. So under this tab, we're just pulling some of those articles into this page. And then more in-depth landscape reports that our researchers are putting together about sustainability. So these are available in PDF format. Sustainable Funds, U.S. Landscape Report, et cetera. And then just additional information about the methodology behind our sustainability and our low carbon designation methodology. The fund screener is going to allow you to screen for a particular kind of fund based on the criteria that you input. It could be something as simple as if you wanted to get a list of funds within a particular fund family. You can come to the tool and go to fund provider. And let's say we wanted to look at Fidelity funds only. We could type in Fidelity, select Fidelity Investments, scroll to the bottom, and we'll see that there's over 1,200 funds that fall within the Fidelity family of funds. And we are able to see our list of Fidelity funds here. You can select to show more than 10 results on a page. So if you wanted to select, I think you could select up to 50 to a page. You can do that. Again, the IDR is the investment detail report. That's the one-page detail report for a fund. And the fund report is like the lengthier report that we looked at for a mutual fund. Again, if for some reason only the IDR is available, the investment detail report, and the fund report is not, it's because we don't have in-depth analyst coverage for that particular fund. Again, you could sit here and click on these tabs to get different views of the data and information that's available from the screen. And for this particular screener, you also have the option to export the data into an Excel file. So again, we can also look at, if we click on show more, there's other data points we can select from. So for instance, like we selected Fidelity Investments, then you can select some of Morningstar's proprietary ratings. Like I mentioned earlier, let's say you only wanted to get a list of mutual funds that have a gold analyst rating. We can go ahead and clear Fidelity Investments from the fund provider, and we could go to Morningstar Analyst Rating and select gold. So if we only wanted to look at gold rated mutual funds, we can select gold analyst rating, scroll to the bottom, and we have a list of 459 mutual funds that have a gold analyst rating. And then again, like if you wanted to export this data, you can export it into Excel. Save and manipulate. So another thing you can do, similar to the stock screener, if there were like a list of 3 or 4 funds that you wanted to just get a quick view of, so you can compare some performance metrics, you could actually just type in the ticker symbols separated by a comma, and then scroll to the bottom, and you'll have those list of those mutual funds, and you could kind of look at their, get a quick look at their performance metrics and their portfolios. And the overview, so you can see the categories they fall into, the Morningstar ratings, risk rating, and like fee level to see what the fees are. Moving over to find similar, this is also another tool that you can use to help screen for results. This is something that we did have available in the previous version of the database, but we have updated it as well. So you can put in a ticker symbol. Let's say there was a mutual fund you're interested in investing in, but maybe the fees are too high, or it might be close to new investment. If you put in a ticker symbol for the fund you wanted to invest in, this tool is going to now pull up a list of mutual funds that fall within the same Morningstar category for you. And as you can see here, this is in the Morningstar large blend category. There's over 1,500 funds that fall in the large blend category. You can narrow this down further so that you can click on only show lower risk funds, only show better performing funds over the last 3 years, only show higher Morningstar analyst rated funds, and then only show higher star rated funds. So you can customize the list that way. And now it's narrowed it down to 371 funds. Again, from here, you can select multiple funds from your results list. And when you do that, it's going to pull up the funds in this short list at the top so that it's easier for you to get a quick comparison if you want to compare the short-term performance, long-term performance, fee information, portfolio, and risk. And the fund compare tool is something that we've had in the previous version as well. This tool has not changed. If you want to get a quick side-by-side, more like graphical view of 2 funds, you can go ahead and type in the one fund and then one fund to compare it to. And we could click View Report, and it's going to provide the performance chart, styles box, portfolio profile. So it's a quick side-by-side view of two funds that you can do. And you can only select two funds to compare at a time. ETF, exchange traded funds, similar to stocks and funds, there's a wealth of data and information that one can access for ETFs. An exchange traded fund is a mutual fund that trades on the exchange like a stock. So it trades throughout the day versus a mutual fund just trades at the end of the day. So you can, again, wealth of information. The markets tab under here is the same markets tab that we have under equity. Research information highlights some of Morningstar's research as it pertains to ETFs. Favorites provides a list of 35 ETFs that are analyst picks. And again, you could click on any of these ETFs to go to the research page for the ETF. Screener, similar to funds and stocks, we have a ETF screener as well. So you can screen for ETFs based on the criteria that you input into the tool to filter with. Oops. Planning and education. Like I mentioned before, we have a wealth of educational content that's available on the database. So if you go to our planning and education tab, we have our investing classroom available here. We had this option available previously, but it was under the help tab. Now it's under planning and education. If we click on investing classroom, we can view the different modules that a user can take. So these are self-study courses that a user can take. Whether you're completely new to investing and know nothing about investing, you could access the investing classroom to learn about stocks, funds, portfolios, bonds, ETFs, retirement, and planning. So previously, we only had modules for stocks, funds, portfolios, and bonds. So we've added 4 more modules. We also have some educational videos available. So most of the modules have courses that run from level 100 to level 500. As a user works their way through the courses, the concepts become more complex as they advance through the courses. And at the end of each course, there's a quiz so a user can test their knowledge. So like for instance, for mutual funds, if we click on this level 100, course 101, mutual fund basics. As you progress through, let's say by the time you're at level 500 for mutual funds, you're learning how to avoid portfolio overlap, how to rebalance your portfolio, when it might make sense to sell a fund. So again, the concepts become more complex. We scroll to the bottom, there's a Get Recommendations. This is a recommendation engine that we now have built into the investing classroom, which we did not have before. Here, a user can select topics of interest. So if you were interested in retirement and funds, you can select those 2 modules, and then you could put your level of knowledge for each of those. So if you're a beginner from funds and you're a beginner in learning about retirement, you can select beginner for both, and then click Get Recommendations, and it will provide a curated list of mutual funds, of courses to help get you started. So it might not seem as overwhelming. You don't have to start from level 100 for each of the courses. If you just want to get started, it's a good way to get started by using the recommendation engine. Under planning and education, we have our portfolio X-ray tool. This is a tool that a user can use if they have a current portfolio and they want to get an overview of their portfolio by asset allocation, stock sector, portfolio, and more. They can input the holdings of their existing portfolio within the tool to get that overview. It's also a good tool to use if you're looking to make changes to an existing portfolio. You can see how making those changes would affect your portfolio. It's also a good tool to use to see where you might have overlap within your portfolio. So to get started, you need to click on View Holdings and Benchmark. And from here, you need to select a benchmark. And we're going to select the Morningstar US, US market. This is the closest to the S&P 500. And then from here, once we've selected our benchmark, you want to select if you're going to put in a dollar amount for each of the holdings in your portfolio, a percentage value for each of the holdings, or a number of units for each of the holdings in your portfolio. So if you had your portfolio statement with you, you could actually input all of your holdings with the actual dollar amount or percentage weight for each of them within the portfolio to see, to get the overview. So we're going to go ahead and input some of our securities that we have in our portfolio. And you have to put the percentage weight here, and then it'll bring it up after you put in the first one. It's going to tell you that the weight must sum 100. So we're like at 80%, and then just add this one in, put it in at 20. So now our weight equals 100. And then we could click on Hide Holdings and Benchmark in the top left, and it will expand the overview of our portfolio. So you get a good feel of your portfolio by asset allocation, stock sector, stock regions, and more. If you wanted to jump to a particular section of your portfolio, you could click on one of the jump tabs on the right-hand side and to see like the trailing returns graph, trailing returns information, or the performance graph. You can change this to 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. So you can customize the chart. If you want to look at portfolio holdings, you could click on portfolio holdings. This is going to show the holdings that we input to our portfolio. But if we click on stock overlap here, this is going to provide a breakdown of all our underlying portfolio holdings. And you could also see where you might have overlap. So for instance, in this portfolio, I have shares of Apple in my portfolio that I own, but a couple of these funds that I'm also investing in have shares of Apple. So you might have more exposure to Apple, more assets within Apple than you thought you did. Then, you know, the same thing with Amazon. I own shares of Amazon, and a couple of the mutual funds I invest in also have assets in Amazon. So you might have more exposure than you thought you did to a particular company. So you can scroll through to see all the underlying stock holdings. If you wanted to print a report of your portfolio, we could go to the top and select Generate Report. And you can select the portfolio snapshot, the stock intersection. It's going to show the portfolio overlap we were just looking at, and the investment detail. The investment detail is going to provide a one-page snapshot report of the holdings within your portfolio. So again, this is a nice option for someone to print or save to for their own files to have this information for their portfolio. A user is not able to save portfolio information within the database, so it's something you'd have to input every time you access the database. And then over here in this section, we also have a couple of cost calculators. If you're like saving for retirement or for college, you want to have an idea of how much money you need to have to retire at a certain point, you can use the retirement cost calculator and solve for this by inputting the information. And then for college cost calculator, similar. Articles and videos, like I mentioned, again, for education, we do have a lot of educational content available for articles and videos. I want to highlight that we have a director of personal finance at Morningstar. So she's always publishing new articles and videos as it pertains to, personal finance, tuning up your portfolio, saving for retirement, investing during retirement. Her name is Christine Benz. So you can follow you could select Christine's name and you'll get a list of a number of articles and videos that she publishes that deal with personal finance topics. Or you could view a particular collection. So let's say you're interested in, sustainability. You could click on Sustainability Matters and get articles and videos that pertain to sustainability. If you're interested in Fund Spy or Fund Spy Morningstar Medalist Edition to see what kinds of articles we're publishing for our medalist funds, you can click on Fund Spy Medalists to get articles for that. So again, a lot of information that's available under articles and videos. Help. This is where you can access monthly training sessions. We do offer training sessions similar to the overview that you received today. These training sessions are open to patrons of the library and all of our library partners. We have access to the user guide and quick guide. We also have a couple helpful PDFs here: how to read a stock analyst report, how to read a fund analyst report. We have some tutorial videos available that provide an overview of the database. So similar to the overview you received today, you can watch the tutorial videos. Some of our methodology documents are available here. And then we also have a glossary of investment terms. So if you were interested in a particular term and you weren't familiar with it, you can look it up in the glossary. For the monthly training sessions, the updated schedule should be coming up either this week or next week. We are going to be hosting weekly training sessions through the end of June, and that's because we upgraded to the new version of the database. So we want to make sure that our users have access to learn about the new features. And then the newsletter module, this is an add-on feature to the database that provides access to 4 monthly published newsletters: stock investor, dividend investor, ETF investor, and fund investor. So again, another way to get more thought leadership as it pertains to certain types of investing is available through the newsletters. And there's a 12-month archive that's available if the library subscribes to the newsletter module. So again, I know there's a lot of data and information that we covered. I am happy if you ever have any questions regarding the database, you can always email us at libraryservices@morningstar.com or reach out to your librarian and they can also assist you. But we're always happy to help answer any questions that you may have. If you do have questions now, please feel free to unmute yourself or to put them in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Again, I know that it was a lot of data and information to cover, so questions sometimes don't arise until you're actually using the database. So please, like I mentioned, if anyone has questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or to put them in the chat. There's not any particular profile that we see using Morningstar. Like I mentioned, I think it's a great resource for anyone, whether they're new to investing or a more seasoned investor. So some people might use it if they just want to check on their portfolio they might come to Morningstar and use it, just to look up their, see how their portfolio is doing by inputting the information and getting an overview. We have any number of people, whether they're an individual investor, we have advisors that use the database and resource. So it's definitely good for, anyone who just wants to learn about investing, or if they're interested in, researching a particular company or fund. The database is also available for academic libraries. There isn't one for calculating future returns on mutual funds. But I think that you can use, like if you are interested in that, like the Morningstar rating kind of looks at a forward-looking projection of a mutual fund. So I think you can kind of take a look at the methodology documents behind the Morningstar analyst rating. Those are available under the Help tab. And if you learn more about how the Morningstar analyst rating works, then you might be able to get an idea of kind of how we think a fund will perform in the future based on the key pillars that we look at.
Just wanted to add one more thing as well. So for those, it sounds like some of our guests today are a little bit familiar, but just for those of you that haven't had a chance to access Morningstar, the way to do it is if you go to our library's website, pclib.org, and if you look under resources, and when you're accessing from home, it'll ask you to input your library card number. So,
okay.
Great, thank you so much.
Here, yeah.
And you go to databases A to Z.
Yes.
And if you scroll down, or you can just go to M. And this is a list of all the other resources that we have for you guys. Yeah, and if you go ahead and click, I don't know from your end. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you would enter your library card number. And if you're having trouble, please feel free to, if for some reason you're not able to log in, either give us a call at the just to the reference desk or stop by, and we'll be happy to take a look at your account and get you logged in. Are there any other questions or any questions about logging in, or has anyone had trouble? Or so hopefully not. But and while you're there, yeah, take a look at our other databases that we have. They're all free for our patrons to use. Again, all are accessible with your library card. Yeah, so lots of great stuff for you guys. Any other questions regarding? Okay, great. Okay, Finney, did you?
Yes.
Did you
yeah, yeah, I did. So yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope everybody learned something new. And as I mentioned, if you're using the database and questions arise, feel free to reach out to us directly at libraryservices@morningstar.com.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon.
Take care, everyone. Finney, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you guys for logging in. And also just for future programs, please, if you go to our website, there's a calendar page. Those of you, thank you so much. Yeah, or just, if you stop by the library, we have plenty of signage. Yeah, so you can just kind of scroll and there's different programming you can go to. But yeah. So I believe, so yeah, thank you everyone. And yeah, I guess have a great rest of your day.